Be the most critical of all the events being contested here. We're going to see the heats in just a minute. 2 half-mile heats leading to a 1-mile final. That final, however, will be the absolutely last thing that the athletes do in Superstars. That means that the whole title could be hanging on the line. But before you can get the title, before you can win the final, you've got to qualify. That's coming up right now. Let's set the field for the first heat now. On the right of your screen and running on the inside in lane 1, the pole position will be bowler Jim Stefanich. There is Jim, who's doing very well in the competition, as you know, to this point. Riding in lane 2 will be tennis star Rod Laver. There is the red-haired Mr. Laver from Australia. In lane 3, racing driver Peter Revson. He ought to know something about tactics in this race, certainly. Lane 4 is Smokin' Joe Frazier. We get a look at him. There he is, the former heavyweight champion. And on the outside, quarterback Johnny Unitas. Now, 2 men from this heat will go on to the final, and then the fastest third-place finisher of the 2 heats will also join them. There'll be 5 in the final altogether. Starter giving them their orders. This will be twice around, 2 laps for a half a mile. The final will be at 1 mile, remember.
It's it.
Getting into the final here, very important, could determine the overall championship. And there goes Rod Laver. Boy, he's really moving out smartly with Peter Revson. Peter Revson is drafting. That's what they'd say in the racing circles. Could be, huh? Bike riders do something like that, but I don't know whether Peter's doing it, but he's right behind Rod Laver, as a matter of fact, and looking very good. Joe Frazier is a most creditable third right now. Joe Frazier fooled him a little bit, and he's moving up on the leaders, moving up on Revson now. A real good bike race among Rod Laver of tennis, Peter Revson of auto racing, and Smokin' Joe Frazier, smoking down the home stretch. Joe breaks just a little bit, but now he's moving. He's going to try for the lead. Joe Frazier with a fine effort, trying to pass on the outside. He could lose ground by going so wide. Boy, this is like Daytona or something. Into the wind they're going now, and you can really tell it. Laver on the inside, laboring just a little bit. 3 bikes side by side. It's Laver on the inside, Revson in the middle, and Joe Frazier on the outside. And now Revson drops back a little bit. It's Laver and Joe Frazier. Remember, the first 2 go into the final. The third man will not know whether or not he gets into the final until his time is compared with the third-place finisher in the next heat. Here they come to the home stretch. It's Laver and Frazier. And Joe Frazier has taken the lead. Joe Frazier, the winner, Rod Laver second, and Peter Revson a strong third. If Revson's going to make it into the final here, it'll be on a time basis, but how about Joe Frazier? Old Smokin' Joe really fooling the experts here. He hasn't been doing too well in this competition, but now he's won that heat. And there is Johnny Unitas finishing up one-handed. Johnny hasn't been too strong in the competition either. Earlier, I asked him what he thinks of the whole idea here.
I think it's a great thing, really. A lot of the fellows, of course, you know, are real serious about it. And the problem with it really is if, you know, you get invited about middle of the football season or something, it may have a tendency to take your mind off of what you're doing. But you should really train before coming down here. I didn't do a thing, but I still enjoy it. I've made some points, and I enjoy doing it, and just being the comradeship, I think, with the other fellows has been fantastic.
The results are official now in that heat. Joe Frazier, the winner. Rod Laver second, and in third place, Peter Revson with a time of 1:24 flat. Now, if the third place finisher in the next heat can beat 1:24 flat, Peter Revson will not make it to the final. That's the way it works. It will be just 5 runners in the final. Well, there's Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench, most valuable player in the National League, star of the Cincinnati Reds.
Just one at a time.
And with a long career ahead of him, particularly now that he's got that bothersome operation out of the way. Obviously back in good shape. Running in lane 1, though, will be the Olympic pole vault champion, Bob Seagren. Lane 2, Elvin Hayes, and Elvin's got the seat cranked all the way up on this bike. He still says it's much too small for him. In lane 3, we will have Jean-Claude Killy. And then the aforementioned Mr. Bench will be rounding out the field in lane 4. Just 4 racers in this one. 2 of them will make it to the final, and possibly the third-place finisher. There you can see how high above his bicycle Elvin Hayes has to sit to get any kind of a shot at those pedals without putting his knees in his chin. Twice around, 1/2 mile. The final will be, once again, at 1 mile.
It's set.
Okay, a good push by Bob Seagren and also by Jean-Claude Killy. Now, Killy's home country of France, of course, is real bicycle country. The Tour de France is probably their most famous sports event. So he's done a lot of bike riding and riding also when training for ski racing. But it's Bob Seagren out in front. Johnny Bench has pulled up. He's had trouble with the pedals, that's all. Now he's getting going again. Once again, Johnny, as he does in all these sports, was trying to go just a little bit too fast. Bob Seagren and Jean-Claude Killy way out in front. Elvin Hayes has moved into third place, ahead of Johnny Bench. And here are the leaders coming to the end of the first lap here when they cross the start-finish line. Hey, you know, this is a beautiful sport, bike racing, isn't it? Very pretty. Bob Seagren still out in front as they'll cut into the wind going around this turn. It is slightly banked, nothing like the high banking at Daytona. And there is Johnny Bench. He stopped and he is out of it. Too bad, because that's going to cost him not getting into the final of the bike race. Bob Seagren still very much in it, and Jean-Claude Killy, either one of these men could win the overall, you know. Oh, we've just gotten word from the officials that Peter Revson may have pulled a muscle in that last heat, so he may not be able to participate in the final of this no matter what. Too bad. As you know, he's very much in the competition. We'll check out the first two, and then Elvin Hayes for third on the time basis against Peter Revson. Bob Seagren just breezing in, winning his heat easily and going into the final. So does Jean-Claude Killy. And Elvin Hayes has already passed the 124 mark, so he will not get into the final unless Revson has to default because of that possible muscle pull. They have a masseur down there working on Peter right now, so that issue is a bit in doubt. We'll be back in a minute. Star.